Something is wrong. Let me look around here.
It sent me an email notification.
Start stream. Something went wrong. Please try again. Let's refresh Rumble Studio. It looks like it wants to go live. Looks like it is going live. Okay, we have it on Rumble. Checking YouTube. We have it on YouTube. And the thumbnail was there, which last time it was missing. So let's get ready to transition. Hi, guys. This is Daniel Alexander Cannon here on The Supernatural Show, the show that is not for entertainment purposes. Today, we're going to be talking about some very interesting stuff. And sorry we had some hiccups a while ago, but I think I figured out what I did wrong again. Hopefully, the audio is sounding better today. We did about nearly a couple hours of testing prior to the show, recording, going live privately, making sure it's working. Can y'all guys give me a 1 to 10? 1 being terrible audio, 10 being it sounds really good. Super Dave's giving us a 10. Awesome, awesome, awesome. That is sounding good. Wayne DePayne, 5 by 5. Tornado of Souls, 10. So we are sounding good until Roxy speaks and she's got an echo. You got an echo, Roxy?
I don't know. Do I have an echo? I got grandbabies that just walked in. I'll be right back.
How does Roxy sound, guys? Guys, we have myself, Daniel Alexander Cannon, in the house today. We have Roxy in the house today. We have Miss Kim in the house today. We have Super Dave in the house today. We have Mike Smith in the house today. Mike and Super Dave are in the comments moderating. Miss Kim is managing some backstage equipment and also moderating. And Roxy and I will be doing the majority of the talking today. What are we going to be talking about? We're going to talk about crazy stuff. Why is it crazy, Daniel? Well, we're going to propose ideas to you that I'm in the process of making a documentary about, and happen to come to the conclusion and understanding that there's more to be seen, which I knew there would be, and there's even more to be seen that I haven't seen yet. But what we're talking about is the giant ancient trees of old. Okay, two or three of you, or a few of you, don't even know where I'm at and what I'm talking about, and you're already lost. So the rest of this show is going to be cuckoo to you, okay? But you're still welcome to hang around and listen to this cuckoo, because it's not cuckoo. You just haven't had this information given to you before. You've been lied to since you were a child and were never told this information, just like we were not. We're just the ones that bring the information to you and let you know that there used to be trees on this earth that were absolutely massive. The ones we have now are like grass or brush. The trees that used to be here reached 2 miles into the heavens, into the skies. They reached way up there. And we're going to model all this and put it all into the documentary that is coming. The documentary will be free to all website members. Any and all documentaries, pay-per-views, or live shows, like when we go on the Angel Cruise, and we're broadcasting live from there. If you're a member of the website, you will receive all of that included within your membership of the website. Also, we are going to offer the documentary as a pay-per-view. Maybe you don't want to be a member of the website, but you would like to see it. So it'll be at a lot smaller amount. It'll be offered as a pay-per-view, the documentary. But the information in general of what we're going to be talking about and disclosing, we're going to disclose a lot of it right here. But the documentary is meant to reach way past and beyond uh, what I'm going to be able to reach here. So, and we'll roll that documentary out in multiple rollouts and stages as we go. Now, again, we're talking about giant ancient trees. Okay. Maybe you have, or maybe you haven't seen, and let me probably need to share my screen here, but let me pull up what I want to show you. Most of you have seen what is called Devil's Tower. That is a small example. Devil's Tower, giant trees. Okay. Now, we're not just talking about the giant trees. Well, we are, but what we're talking about is most of you have heard of before. You've heard of something uh, probably called lighterwood. Okay. Lighter wood is the remains of a giant ancient, or not a giant tree, it's a tree of today, and remains of ancient trees of old, that their remains can be still seen around the world in different places. Okay. And there are secrets to be found once you understand that there are these giant trees that remain around the world. I'll share my screen here so you can see just a few examples.
The mathematical equations on their size is mind blowing.
Yep, absolutely. Can you see that okay, Roxy?
Yep, yep, yep.
Okay. Okay, so what you're looking at here is Devil's Tower. Okay, and this is a very small tree in comparison to the ones that I'm really talking about. Okay. Okay, that's Devil's Tower. As you can see, it looks like a tree stump, and it has the fibers in it, just like a tree stump does. Okay. And when these trees of old were around, they grew root systems miles, literally, basically, down into the earth. Huge, because this is a small example. However, you need to realize how big this small example is. Let's give you another image here so you can see how big this small example is.
Devil's Tower would have been approximately 3.8 kilometers tall, 12,500 foot.
12,500 foot, so that's over 2 miles, right?
It would interfere with Cessna planes. They wouldn't even be
Yep,
able to fly if they were all there.
yep, exactly. And so these things, though, because they're not here anymore above ground except for some remnants, okay? Just some remnants are left. But they left something else behind. They left their remains buried in the earth behind us, or below us, literally below us, all over the world. Let me give you another image example here, just for a few of you that might need it. Here's an actual, just a regular stump of today beside the stump that was the tree. And I know there's theory out there that this was some kind of a Achilles heel, and it doesn't matter if this one was something else like that. The point is that these stumps exist all over the world. There are many, many, many examples of these. But what's really interesting is when you start thinking, spending a lot of time analyzing and thinking about what was left below, like the root systems, okay? Like this root example here, okay? If these were giant ancient trees, of course, they would be of different kinds of trees. Some of them would be redwoods, some of them would be of a type of an oak, some of them would be of all kinds of types, right? And maybe even some types that we don't even have to this day. But they'd have these giant root systems under there. And what are the roots? The roots are stored energy. When these massive trees died, cut down, died, whatever, all of the juice within them, the liquid fire that's in there, that people make maple syrup that's sweet, just like gasoline. They make maple syrup out of some of these kinds of the sap that's in these trees. That stuff drains down slowly over hundreds of years, thousands of years, draining down into the root system. The way to get the best effect of that is if a tree dies a natural death and it starts falling apart from the top, and all that juice just drains down the center portion of the tree, the eye of the tree, and it goes down into the root system. And then what happens? Well, it depends. It depends on the kind of tree it was. It depends on the amount of time. It depends on the elements that are affecting it from outside and around. But what happens is transmutation, that it will start to transmute meaning turn into something else. The We know that if you have an old pine tree, like I have a piece of it in the backyard right now, it's called lighterwood. And you can take an old pine tree stump that comes from underground, dig it up, pull it out, and you break a piece off, and it smells like gasoline. Gasoline. That's literally where a lot of this hit me. Was I was sitting out there messing with my lighterwood, and I smelled it, and something said to me, "Do you realize what that is? Do you realize what that is?" And I'm like, "Holy, thank you, Father." I smelled it, and it's gasoline. I said, aha. So, what's the aha? Well, the remains, they transmute from one stage to another. And the different stages, and I don't know the order, I may figure it out one day, but I don't know the exact order of transmutation. But you go from being a tree that's alive to a tree that's dead to a tree that's nothing left but the root system below the ground. And we're talking about massive. We're talking about a stump on the surface that is miles across, the size of Yellowstone, or the size of, there's literally thousands of examples around the world that will be pointed out and shown and demonstrated in the documentary. So all that stuff drains down there, and it goes from being like maybe in some cases a lighter wood kind of situation, that maybe it only takes a few years for it to turn into this lighter wood. But what happens in 50 years, 100, 1,000, 5,000, when there's this massive amount of highly charged with raw energy from the sun sitting there under the ground? Well, there's one of a few things that can take place. One, it can turn into coal. You know how coal runs in veins, just like gold? The gold, a little side secret story, the sap that runs in the trees contains the gold. That's the quartz. The quartz that you see laying around in different places, or in the mountains. When you're walking in the mountains, you see that white looking stuff. Or maybe you see a tree that's been chopped with an axe and that sap, white stuff comes out. That is the blood of the tree, and it contains the gold. And if you go talking and looking at gold, people who hunt gold and stuff, they're always looking for the quartz, because the quartz will contain the gold. So the gold is manufactured by the trees as well. It collects it, or at least it maybe not makes gold, but it collects it and transmutes it and concentrates it, is what it does at a minimum. And and when the tree dies, it runs down into the veins, which are the roots. That's where you get veins of gold. And you also have veins of coal. Veins of coal. So your coal is one of the transmutations that can take place. Oil is another one. You have veins of oil that they can find. You have where you notice if they're in places that there were these trees in the past, there'll be signs of their remnants and stuff. But you'll notice they run the oil wells in lines. They're following the root system, is typically what they're doing. And there will be places, because again, these tree stumps are massive, massive, miles and miles across, underneath the ground and miles deep. There will be places where there'll be a lake of oil. And because this was from a very long time ago, pre-flood, you will have places that are in the ocean, that are under the sea, that will have these massive remains that have turned maybe into coal, or maybe they, because of the pressure of the ocean, they turn into oil, or maybe there's other reasons as to why it turns into something else. What something else can it turn into? Well, it happens to be the same materials that come out of a volcano are the same materials elemental wise, that are in the tree root systems. Cilia, which is basically just sand, or can be is a main component, and then you have all the other elements there, the carbons and the hydrocarbons and all these things. It's all there. And if you go look up ancient or just volcano systems, it's a root system underground. And what happens is you have all that energy and it's down there concentrated, and it's like it just over time and pressure, it just heats up and it starts to push up and it starts to bubble and boil, and on occasion it will get enough pressure and bubble and boil going on that the pot boils over. And when the pot boils over, you have a volcano that's just erupted. And it can take hundreds or maybe thousands of years for all of that energy to be expelled enough or cool enough or transmute into something else enough that the volcano goes dormant. So we've got uh, answers to volcanoes. We got answers to the giant trees. We got answers to coal and oil and all these petro-based fuels. They're all from the trees for the most part. I'm
But
going
wait
to
now, they taught us in schools that was dinosaur juice.
leave dinosaur juice. Yep, dinosaur poop. Um,
You can't even dig that shallow for oil.
yeah, it's when you really ultimately you have to spend some time if this information is new to anyone listening, but you're really going to have to uh, spend some time thinking. And once you put some things together, you're going to realize how ridiculous their story that they gave us and wanted us to believe, the one that was funded by the Rockefeller education system, the same one that's now ran by the wife of the owner of the WWE, the Worldwide
Linda
Wrestling Federation.
McMahon.
So what, Roxy?
Linda McMahon.
Yeah.
Well, there have been some samples of amber that they've taken that, they've aged, and it was very, 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 very long ago. And when you have amber, there are air bubbles inside of it. Well, they've actually checked the oxygen quantity inside of that amber, and it was massive, the quantity of oxygen that was in it. If you had trees of this size, it would make sense. There'd be a lot more oxygen in the world. And when you have an oxygen deprived environment, animals and creatures automatically start shrinking in size to accommodate for less oxygen.
Yep. And guess what, guys? We also have another secret that it was hinted at in the title to the video and everything. We mentioned waterfalls, mountainous waterfalls, the waterfalls that are up in the mountains. And you already should have a clue what the mountains are. Those things you're up there driving around on, looking around, and sometimes you drive through an area where they've cut through the rock in order to put the road through, and you look at it. If you get out and you look real close, you'll realize that you're looking at wood grain. You will. Test me. Put my theory together. Now, put my theory to the test, that is. Now, waterfalls. Can you go to places in the mountains where the water is naturally being pumped up out of the mountain? Like maybe a hot springs, maybe a cold springs, maybe a river. Maybe it's coming out of the ground all over the places and gathering and coming down. Just these waterfalls that just come out of the mountains, and they just run year round. They just run and run, and it's massive, just pouring and pouring and pouring. And of course, I'll show all of this and demonstrate it very well in the documentary. But what's happening is that, again, you have these massive tree root systems that are still in the ground, And in a way, they're still functioning. It may not be from the way that the tree functioned when it was living, but you still have the what they called lava tunnels, or you still have the veins that would run up and that would transport water. Now you got to think on the size and the scale of what we're talking about here. You're talking about massive roots. A root or a limb to the tree could be a mile across, or uh, even a quarter mile. I mean, you're talking about something that's a quarter mile wide by a quarter mile tall, and it's just one of the roots under there. And then it has all these smaller feeder roots that come off of it. And it's all gathering minerals and water. Now, like I said, it may not be functioning, still producing this water because the tree is still alive somehow and pumping it up naturally like that. It's just doing it in another natural way. And where that water is being, whether it be because of pressure and heat, is forcing that water up through the mountain and is pouring out, just like all these hot springs and just like all of these waterfalls that we see. And if you think about like Yellowstone, is there water being pumped up out of that volcano? Yes, everywhere. It's under pressure shooting into the sky. And some of it is very hot, and some of it is cold springs. I don't remember where I heard it at or read it, but it might have been the some ancient Indian writings. I'm trying to think of the name of it, but maybe Roxy will know. But it talked about how there would come a time when the hot springs would go cold. I don't know if anybody recognizes that. I'll kind of try to look at the chat here a little bit and see if I see. Wasn't that from the Hopi Indians? Maybe that's what it was. The Hopi Indians.
Yes.
Would you run a little quick search on that or something other?
No, but I've read that as well.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's
And I'm
part
not
of their
positive.
beliefs.
Yeah, and I'm not positive exactly, what that means for sure, but it just popped in my mind. Like, look at this one here. This tree stump, ancient tree stump, is massive, and you can see the rings in it still on the top. Okay, let's see. Might have another view of it here if I come down. Let's see. Like, here's another view. I don't know. This is a different one, I think. Maybe it's just a different angle or something. But look at that tree stump. And some of them, it wasn't too long ago, I showed y'all guys one that was in the Middle East that literally looks exactly like a tree stump and has a big hole in the middle where it looks like it's rotted out or whatever. And they say it's an active volcano. And it has hot springs and water pumping up and has a little lake in the bottom
Well, the
that
next
continues
scary
to fill up.
question is, who cut them all off that flat?
That is an interesting question, ain't it? The biblical reference would say the angels worked at the trees, is what is said. The angels worked at the trees. It's like something happened where the trees were being accessed and being used. I mean, it ain't like the first time that man has tried to reach the heavens. That happens. It's happening now. It's happened over and over. And but apparently there was a time where something or someone cut the trees down.
I don't know where I read it, but I read somewhere that before the flood of Noah, the trees were cut so that all of the Nephilim creatures couldn't get above the flood. He sent,
Huh.
I don't
That's
remember where I
interesting.
read that.
Well, that makes actually a little bit of logical sense, right?
Like, they had made the Nephilim and they had so many creatures and they were eating each other and killing themselves and one thing and another right before the great flood. The large trees were cut down so that the giants couldn't climb and escape the flood.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember where I read that.
That, I mean, I can't say that that's for sure what it was, but that makes a lot of sense. Notice on this tree stump here, all the fibers, just like on the Devil's Tower. And notice that it has a hole in the middle, like a tree that's rotted out stump in the middle, just like on a smaller scale. Everything in this world operates on nano, micro, and then bigger and bigger and bigger to absolutely massive. It's like everything repeats up and down in all ways and all sizes. And I find it just absolutely fascinating. This. Now I've already started pulling together some of the footage from Waterfalls, and look at, let me show you something here. It's called, well, what I'm going to show you is called Giant's Causeway. If my Google will work. What's wrong with my Google? Google.
It's
What?
tired. It's
Now Google
napping.
ain't working. Let me try a different, I want to keep that one. Let's try this one. Now that one worked. Okay. So let's look at this. Giant's Causeway. Giant's Causeway. There it is. And you can see the tree fibers when I open it here. Okay, the hexagonal tree fibers. And what I'm seeing is when I go and I'm looking at these waterfalls, finding these waterfalls in the mountains, they're running, the waterfalls are running through uh, these tree fibers. You can see the tree fibers on both sides of the waterfall. Let me see if I happen to have,
If anybody would like a real life visual of what those tree fibers are, get you a piece of celery and break it open.
yeah,
Organic fibers of celery are
yeah,
hexagonal in shape.
yeah. Let me see here. Let me change my screen share. Hang on just a second, guys. I'm going to change it to the entire screen and this one here. Okay, so you can see those files, right, Roxy?
Yes.
Okay. And y'all guys don't stop making some comments because it makes us look like we're not doing anything. Oh, I see some more comments. Good. Okay, I want to find, as you can see, I'm pulling together a lot of footage to bring to y'all guys. I want to see if I can see the one, or I've got several of them that have the fibers that were the tree, very, very visible. Oh, guess here's the other thing. Glaciers, mountain glaciers, they're the same thing. It's the water being pushed up, out, back up through the tree system. That is where all that flow of glacier comes from. You know how like a glacier is nonstop. Like there's one on Mount Rainier, and there's there's a bunch of them still where you can find, and the ones of old were that as well. when the trees were fresh or cut down, it was easier for those glaciers to be formed. And there was a lot of differences, obviously. But the glaciers, where you have these frozen rivers, frozen waterfalls, like you see right here. Let's see if I can pull this down here. You see that okay?
Yeah.
So it's in a glacier with a waterfall running through it. And you say, oh, it's just snow melting. Oh, it's just rain falling. Oh, no. It's too much water. It's too continuous, and it never stops. Yeah, there are waterfalls that will run dry, but we're talking about the ones that are in the mountains that don't run dry. That's what we're talking about. Let's see here if I can find. There's some more glacier footage, like you got this river right here. It's just frozen solid, always is, and it just pushes through here nonstop. But it's extremely slow. And all this kind of footage and stuff, I'll show you all of it ultimately when we
Well,
do
when
the
you think about the
documentary.
quantity of water that a root system like that would have been pulling up to feed a tree that would have almost have reached where low orbiting satellites are at,
Uh
that's a
huh.
massive amount of water that would have been siphoned up those veins or channels, canals, whatever you want to call them.
Uh
And I don't
huh.
know if you've ever tried to siphon gas, but unless you can get your thumb over it, you're not going to stop it.
Uh
So when
huh.
you got something that big and you can't stop it, the siphon of that liquid is not going to stop.
Yeah. And then there's transmutive actors or pressures that are pushing. And then there's always water running and moving underground. There's more water underground than there is above ground. Okay, here's a good one that you can see it. See your fibers on the left and the right, and then you happen to have a river running through it with waterfalls, and ice frozen over here. Isn't that wild? Here's another example. All that was a giant tree. And when you read the book of Enoch, it talks about all this stuff. It talks about how the giant trees of old had to have these massive rivers that run underneath the ground and around them in order to supply the amount of water that they required, you know,
All right. Well,
because
I ask everybody when you take in the concept of how big these trees would have truly been, and how big humanoid giants, whatever you want to call them, would have been relative to the tree,
mm-hmm,
your pyramids around the world would not have been as big to them as they are to us. They would have been much smaller structures to someone of that size if they were there at the same time. It's
it
all
would
a perspective thing.
it's either combination of that, or it could have been a combination of what you said the other day about the pine cone being able to control the resonant frequencies, therefore literally making stone weightless, just like a fly is able to make himself weightless, or a beetle. The beetles, how they're able to, they vibrate and it makes them completely weightless. And there's that scientist out of Russia that even was doing some crazy experiments, even some footage of him flying around some kind of a craft that was made out of the beetle wings. It's something to do with the makeup, the literal makeup of those things that allowed them to, um, well, they create their own um,
Frequency.
frequency, density, frequency. They alter. Uh, I'm trying not to use the word gravity because gravity is actually just a theory, and gravity isn't reality based on how they describe it. It's actually density. Everything takes its level in this world, wherever it be, all based on density. Just like gold is always at the very bottom of the river, laying on top of the clay bed, and maybe even embedded into the clay, and everything else is above it. And you got to find the gold in the crevices. It's because of the density of the gold. And anyways, we could get in a whole new, kind of conversation there. But let's see what y'all guys are thinking in the comments. I've got we will have the ability soon to have y'all guys' comments back on screen. But we're trying to bring in all the platforms at once, and you can't bring in all the platforms at once
Johnny
uh,
J, he is working on a
without some special
documentary.
tools. Let's see what now.
Johnny J said he needed a documentary with all the theories and the evidence to
Yeah, well,
consider. I told him you were working on it.
Johnny J is going to get one. It's gonna cover all of this, and I'm gonna lay it out and
They
do
want
it.
to see the trees of Madagascar on the screen.
Trees of Madagascar.
Yeah, the real McCoy says, look up the trees of Madagascar.
Okay.
Miles wide, miles high. You can still see the leaves on the ground, he says.
Oh, trees of. I'll share my screen here in just a second.
Hey, Carla. Hey, Peggy. Hey, everybody. Thank you for being
I
here
don't know if
today.
they're talking about. Well, we'll figure out what they're talking about because right now we're going to switch to focus on y'all guys in the comments. Now that I've kind of presented the basic theories, now understand when I do the documentary, it's going to be well spoken. It ain't gonna be hodgepodge. It's gonna be showing all the footage of all this, and everything's gonna be figured out and demonstrated in there, so that even you could take an eighth grader and say, "Watch this," and when he's done, he's gonna know what the real truth is. Okay, so I got the Madagascar thing. I don't know that.
And my thing about size perspective, everybody, is when we're talking about these trees and how humongous they could have been, and if all life, animals, whatever, size down due to lack of oxygen. Because think about the oxygen trees of this size would have put off. So
Yeah,
animals that you see now would have been way bigger, and so would we.
there would have been a lot of things different. A potential would be for a really wild imagination as to how things could have been. I'm wondering if they're talking about these trees or if they're talking about the ones you can see from above, where you can actually see the leaves and the limbs still laying on the ground.
I
Um,
think that's the ones he's talking about where you can still see the leaves.
yeah, I would have to, hang on. We might be able to do something. Let's see what we can pull off here. We're kind of doing it on the spot, but giant sequoias and redwoods.
They may have done carbon dating Skyfly, but who knows if they'd tell us the truth.
Yeah, anytime you're referring to they were the liars to start with. We don't go back to they. Okay,
Yeah,
we
we don't
don't.
trust none of their scientific
No,
evidence.
no, we don't go back to they. They are the ones we're having to figure all this stuff out for ourselves, and we figure out that we've been lied to about everything since we were a child.
Because
They.
they are gatekeepers.
So yeah, so if we go back to they, we know what they gonna say. They gonna say that Devil's Tower is because of some lava that shot up out the ground. They ain't
Remember
gonna
that word
say,
the CIA used for us? Conspiracy theorist.
mm-hmm. Yeah, they no, we don't play they. We are the they. We're the ones to seek and find the answers. Not me as in me, but us as in the group here, everybody. Because homie don't play that no more. I ain't playing sucker no more. Mm-mm, not happening. Let's see if I can.
Just
Might
a
have.
tidbit while he's looking. Those they we're talking about, I think I may have figured out the peanut allergy of our society today, folks. And
Yeah,
it's
tell them about
they
that while I'm
fault.
looking at the map.
Yeah, he's looking on the map. I got interested into why all of a sudden everybody started, or not everybody, but a lot of people have peanut allergies. Peanuts are a superfood, like a literal superfood. Well, one of the main ingredients in peanuts is copper. One of the biggest things you need copper for is to open up your pineal gland. So they started when they first started with them sticky things they give you as a child and jabba jabs in you. They started putting peanut oil as a carrier in it. Well, when your body sees peanuts in the stomach, it secretes, to digest. When your body saw it in the bloodstream, it saw it as an enemy and started attacking it. So some people developed a peanut allergy. Same thing goes for milk because they used a milk protein in a few of them. Go look at some of the carriers of what they put in those things.
I think this is probably
Yeah,
part of
that's
what,
what he's talking about. That
where you
literally looks like a root system branching out to me.
or leaves laying on the ground from a giant tree. The leaves and branches made with imprints, like when you look like at these things. You say, well, that's just water runoff troughs. No, that is where the water runs off now, but what was it before that? Why did it form in these geometric patterns like this? It's like,
Well, our connection to plant life, whether it be trees or a plant you have growing in your home, they have now hooked up science equipment, um,
look at
basically
that one.
electrocardiograms to houseplants. When you leave your houseplant's electric rhythm changes. When you get within a 2-mile radius of your house plant knows you're coming, just like your dog does.
That's crazy.
Same
But
thing
this
with
is the
trees,
supernatural show.
shrubs.
Your dogs definitely know when you're coming or when you're going because they're connected with you on a higher level. Um, Maybe other things that you take care of could know something too. Who knows? They not going to tell us. That's for sure.
Anything you nurture, anything you nurture, like a plant, a
Look
pet,
at that.
an animal, their electrical rhythm changes when you get within a 2-mile radius of it. Whether it knows you're coming or not, if you nurture it, child, plant, animal, 2 miles, electro rhythm changes.
Tell me that don't look like a small little tree branch laying in there with the imprints of what were the leaves or the
Yep.
needles or whatever it was just laying there. And basically, the whole country looks like this. And you can find areas that look very interesting as well. And I'm sure probably Madagascar itself was probably just a massive tree or uh, some type of something like that. Exactly. Let me see if I back off a little bit if I can see some interesting
Yeah,
areas.
Mike, it was back in the 50s when they started using peanut oil as a carrier in those jabs. And within 1 year of that particular jab starting, that's when the cases of peanut allergies were recorded. Never
Skyfly
before
20,
had peanut allergies been recorded.
Skyfly 25 said, "I can always feel when my ex is nearby."
Me too. It's like, ooh, my skin skin's crawling. Like, ugh.
Still got a bit of a connection there, do you? Mm-hmm.
That's called a soul tie. If you've had a child with that ex, you will never lose that because you have
Yep.
been genetically modified to accept that individual.
Yep. Probably
I'm
should.
muting 1 second. My phone's ringing.
Yep. Oh, and look, we got a river running through it. Imagine that. Or the storms. Realize hear thunder in the background. We got some pretty heavy duty storms popping up around. Matter of fact, we'll take a quick. Yeah, we're gonna take a quick look at the weather scene. Everybody will be able to see it. Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of storms are popping. Yeah, there was a big pulse of energy in the Gulf the other day. And right after that big pulse happened, one of y'all guys pointed it out actually. Right after that pulse happened, they come on the news. Oh, it looks like we're maybe going to have a tropical storm try to form in a couple of days. It's like, really? How'd you know that? Are you really that smart? Or are y'all guys having something to do with this? Well, definitely got some storming going on. A whole bunch of storming. Yeah, I live right in this general area here pretty much most of my life, like over in Myrtle Beach and Conway and Pawleys Island and all these areas. So my hometown has got a nice storm, well, one all the way around it almost. Yep. So, anyways, just wanted to check
That's
my
where
own
my
area.
house be.
Yeah, you're over that way too. Matter of fact, you look like you probably got something knocking on your doorstep pretty, if it ain't already.
Thunder's rumbling here.
Mm-hmm. This map that you're looking at here is a map that um, it's ran all the sensors that connect and identify when there's thunder and or excuse me, lightning that pops off. It's all. Let me see here. Let me give you an example. It's all by individuals. All the sensor stations where these lines connect back to, they're all individuals like you and me that have a little small antenna and piece of hardware at their house and it's hooked up to the internet. And all of these sensors work off of line of sight. They don't work around a curve. Yet when laid out on a map, it shows them sensing on a curve when it's laid out on this kind of a map. But it's sensing lightning from the other side of the world. So you got sensors over here in Europe sensing lightning that's happening in the United States and vice versa, and even in the different places of the world. But the thing is that they only work line of sight. And
Oh, FYI, did
that should
anybody
give
see that stuff about
somebody
that windstorm in Vegas yesterday?
uh-uh. What happened in
Evidently,
Vegas?
like, there was a windstorm bad enough that it knocked light poles down for miles, but yet it didn't knock trees down. But everybody's on TikTok like, how did it do this and didn't do that? But they had a really bad dust storm yesterday in Vegas.
Really? I wonder if it was kind of like a derecho.
I don't
So
know,
like,
like right down the strip, there's like a mile that all of the light poles. This was the crazy thing now. It snapped the light poles off on both sides of the road, but both of them are laying towards the middle of the road. If your wind was blowing from one direction, one would have been in the road and one would have been on the side of the road, correct? But
depending
yet
on
small flags and trees were not harmed.
what?
It's yeah.
Might have
They were
to.
showing people have got TikToks and stuff up, and it literally looked like it took the light poles and just folded them into the paved road from both sides, but they were both folded in towards the center. That's what didn't make any sense to me.
Right.
Go look that one up on TikTok once we get off the air, because that just looks strange. Because anymore, you don't know what's AI and what's real.
Right. Yeah, you got to be really careful. Sometimes they'll disclose it under the video somewheres, but there's a lot of people out there that they're doing it for entertainment purposes and for clicks and to make money. They don't care about the truth. They just care about the view count. That's not how we operate here. Matter of fact, we shoot ourselves in the foot when it comes to view count continuously. Um, let's look.
We shoot
Speaking of
ourselves in the foot when it comes to monetary view count. We just be
everything,
telling the truth. We not worried about the rest of it.
well, we worry about it, but we just can't base
Tick
our
tick. Is
decision.
that a new website? Tick tick.
Can't base our choices on it. This is let's see. As soon as it loads here, I was going to pull up a few ticker talkers that I saved for various reasons. Y'all guys probably, the ones who've been around for a while now, you remember me talking about, um, remember me and Roxy and Shannon, Miss Kim, all of us talking about the things that were going to start coming to happen, like supernaturally in the heavens, and how some of it's going to be, let's just say there's a natural, supernatural, really supernatural, thank you, Super Dave, supernatural events that are going to be taking places in the heavens. Okay. They are going to co opt the event and turn it for their narrative. Okay. I've told you that there are things such as real angels. We literally have a cruise that we're setting up to go and try to get lucky and see some angels as together as a group. But there are real angels, bright white balls of light that I've been seeing for years and years and years and years in great numbers that come to me by the water's edge or on the mountaintops. Then you're going to have anything that in nature, whether it be heavenly or of this earth, they're going to copy it so that they can co-opt it. And so when there's, let's just say, a war going on in heaven, they're going to co-opt it and twist it so it's aliens. Okay, they're gonna want to control the narrative, and they're gonna superimpose their narrative, and it's going to be aliens. It's going to be they'll use, instead of using the true words, they'll use words like Anunnaki, and Anunnaki may be a true word, but the Anunnaki, if you read up about history, they come from outer space from another planet where they run out of gold. Okay. I personally, I can't, I know the whole story. I've read it and studied it. I can't buy into it because of what I know, the things I know about angels and other things. But just understand they're going to co opt what's going on. And there's a lot that's been going on. I'm going to try to see if I can't get a few of these videos to play. They've been hearing, let me check a setting here real quick. Could you hear that at all, Roxy, when I was playing it?
I could hear crickets, but that was about
Crickets.
it.
Okay. Well, I could turn on the desktop audio so we could hear it better, maybe, but I don't want to start an echo either. So let's just let this play for a second. What it is distant booming and rumbling and stuff in the sky is what she's recording. It's not very loud. Some of them are louder.
They try to tell us that's heat thunder.
Say again.
They try to tell us that that's heat thunder.
Yeah, they like to always give you some answers, don't
They.
they? Anytime they speak up on something, it's because they be lying. They be trying to co-opt. Whoa. Okay, Father. All right, hang on just a second, guys.
That sounded like it hit something over there.
All right. All right. No lightning within 2 miles. No lightning within 2 miles. No hell bigger than a pea.
Well, it may be time to get off the air, folks. I don't know where Daniel
No
went.
lightning within 2 miles. That was close, about 2 miles. No lightning closer than 2 miles. Okay. Had to go say a prayer. You
Handle it.
could say it. Handle it. That's right. When those things start, anything starts happening like that, you have to walk into the faith and believe that your words have power, and you act upon it. And it's been that lightning strike was about, I'd say, a mile to 2 miles away. It wasn't instant flash boom. It was about a mile to 2 miles away. Normally, when these storms are coming up, I handle it, walk in faith, and speak with my tongue, which is a sword, which has supernatural powers. I normally do it as the storm is coming up, but because we got going with the show, I neglected that. You can choose to believe or not, but it doesn't affect my belief. All right. So I don't know what we were talking about there, but people are seeing in this case. It's like a line of orbs in the sky. Now, because I'm not there, I can't speak as to whether this is angels or a manufactured event that's happening in the sky. And it's probably kind of hard to see on the screen, but um, I have seen them line up in lines quite a number of times, and then they'll start disappearing. There's a military base on here. You're saying it's military, right? No, I don't know. Well, there's a. So you got one saying it's military, one saying it's aliens. You know, all they're doing is repeating
Looks
what
like a
they've heard,
Starlink train to me.
except where it's not moving like a Starlink train. Um, they're when the angles are right, in right at the equinoxes, you can really see the Starlink satellites and stuff coming up over the horizon and heading towards you, and they'll disappear straight above your head consistently over and over. And you're like, why is it disappearing above my head? It's because of angle. Right after sunset, normally about 45 minutes after sunset. But like I say, I'm not sure if these are like 2 miles from here. It's not a military base. I don't know. That's weird. Oh, it is disappearing. I got it. I can send it to you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Where? Just these things are going on. I'm not showing it necessarily for any other reason other than to say these things are going to continue. These things are going to intensify. There will be a large element of it that is being co-opted and controlled and manipulated, but there will also be an element of it that is natural, supernatural happenings that happen at the end of the cycles of each time this world goes around in its trip around what we call time. There are supernatural events that happen repeatedly over and over, and we're going to see some of them. But beware that there's an element of being co-opted by they. She's hearing like a booming, boom, boom, boom. in the background and stuff like that. This was just a few days ago down in Atlanta. There were a bunch of people down there filming it. All these sounds. That to me more
I need a better camera.
Looks more like a drone, and that can be part of the co-opting. It's confusion to keep people's minds confused as to whether it's Iran, it's China, it's all this, it's all that. So they mix in. It's like saying you got one event going on. Let's say it was war in heaven. You got one event going on. When you throw in a bunch of other crap all in and around it, then it dilutes your ability to be able to focus on the actual thing that is happening. But then even that itself, they will try to co-opt it. It's ultimately what they want you to believe when it comes to the heavens is they want you to believe aliens. That's my belief, is they want you to believe aliens.
Miami, Florida, June 29th, 2025. What is falling from the sky?
Multiple fireballs a few days ago. Like we
Maybe
seen
that was
about
some of
a
that
month
stuff
ago.
that fell this way.
Miami, Florida, June 29th, 2025. What is falling from the sky?
Now I have seen angels streak before. They are faster than that if they want to be. They're much faster than what we're looking at there. And they leave a white streak of what looks like light behind them in the sky. And if you're real close up, which I've been as close up when one is about 20 foot and seen it close up, and it looks like pixie dust. It looks like it probably has to do with why Disney gave uh, Tinkerbell dust. Okay, when she would fly and move quickly, there would be like a dust. It looked sparkled. Okay, that's probably why they did that. But I had an angel one time. I was standing on the water's edge. I went to the beach to see angels. That's why I'm there. And one flew from behind me. I was kind of looking up. One flew from behind me over my head, shot out over the ocean, and what looked like pixie dust was floating down. And of course, it left a streak in the sky going out over the ocean. I've seen them cast lightning bolts into the ocean. I have never seen them come out or go into the ocean. I'm not saying they can't, because I imagine they could, but I've never seen it with my own eyes, just giving you information that may help at some point for you. I've seen them. Um, I've seen them flash. They can be, say, they're 100 feet up above you in the air, 200 feet, whatever. Big balls of light, about the size of a Volkswagen. They can flash just like you've seen on the intro to the show, where the one that came down over the Dome of the Rock in Israel, and it was sitting there, and then it flashed and then struck straight up. That's the speed I'm talking about. And that's the flash I'm talking about. It lit up basically the whole area, the whole city area there. That flash I've seen in person at least 5 times. Right above me. Looking up at them, poof, flash. Everything light up everywhere. No storms, no nothing around. You can tell it comes from the point. You can tell it comes from the angel. And the streaking when they do it is that fast, just like what you see in the intro of the show now. They're fast. They're not bullet fast necessarily like that, where you can't see them move, but they may be able to do that. I'm just saying what I have seen, which is very fast, and they leave plasmatic sparkles behind them in the air. supposedly in this one situation, just showing you. Browser's not wanting to cooperate there. Showing you examples of things that look reasonable that could be something that was real that someone recorded. Because it's interesting to me. I think it'd be interesting to y'all guys, and I don't want you to be deceived. But this one, it's like there was a flash, a major increase in light. Never witnessed that coming from the sun. I've witnessed from an angel, but not from the sun. But that's what that one is playing out. It dims back down too. And I better not play much of that music or I'll be copyrighted. You got to watch that. Another thing, I can't control what some of these people say. I'll try to mute some of them if I can, which I don't even know where the mute button's at on here to mute them. But anyways, we'll keep going.
Is it me or is the sky glitching in South Dakota? Have you guys ever seen the sky bleed fire and flash lightning at the same time? And it's accommodated with these crazy looking clouds? Y'all, what world is this? So lately I've been hearing that there's a war going on in the heavens and it looks like it's bleeding into our dimension, you guys. Literally, these clouds are literally coming out of nowhere. And now, I don't know if you noticed, but now the Anunnaki are apparently tapping people's televisions into...
Yeah, it's amazing how information spreads, how they designed the internet. It's like for some of us, we can gain knowledge, gain understandings, but for the average person, all it does is you throw in so much crap at them at once that they have no idea to know what to believe, except for what they'll do is typically they'll follow the herd, you know.
Part three, what's going on in the mountains? Look at that, what's going on in the sky? That's not lightning. And I don't think that's fireworks. We're way at the top of the mountains. There's something over there, you can almost see the silhouette when it lit up. There it is. See, look, y'all see that? Oh my gosh, do you see that? I'm glad I caught it. And there's something right there too, lightning like crazy. Let's go look. What is that?
So just keep in mind, this is just the beginning of this kind of stuff. It's going to get more intense. But in my opinion, in my world, I'm not going to be afraid of these things. You can't die but once. And we're not supposed to be afraid of death. We're supposed to be afraid of being deceived. That's what you should fear, is being deceived, not death. Death comes and goes just like life. Being deceived, that's where I got a problem. I don't want nothing to do with being deceived.
Hey, this is a report from Waitara. We are experiencing some sort of weird anomaly in the sky. A pulsating pinkish red cloud formation. It's 9 o'clock at night on a Sunday. This is the moon is up, fairly normal. The sun set to the west, which is in that direction. You got the moon, and you look kind of off to the east. There is a very strange cloud formation currently to the east of Waitara, pulsating like a large...
Trying to pause it. There we go. I got up the other morning at 5:30, looked outside, and it was broad daylight at 5:30. And yeah, I know it's supposed to be starting to get morning, but it was broad daylight. It was a little shocking. And I know also we're in the middle of summer, so it's supposed to get bright early and stay bright late. But I don't know, it just felt weird. And the sky was pink. The whole sky was pink. I don't know if any of y'all guys are noticing that. But I would say just
Hey guys, I found the video of the Anunnaki's message on the TV. Check this out.
keep your eyes peeled. So they're saying that it was, I don't know. I did a little bit of looking trying to find it. Have you run across Roxy anywhere where they showed what supposedly came on the television in some places where the regular television was interrupted?
No, I've not been able to find any of it. I went and looked for it. But see, that same broadcast evidently supposedly happened in 1977. And so I went to try to find a new one to compare to the one that was in 1977 and see if it was just a hoax. But you going to tell me that that whole area got this and nobody caught it on a video?
All right. Somebody here in the comments says, I don't think the Anunnaki would have a watermark on their video. Let's play that. I don't really see a watermark exactly, but I do see something. Lower left, it says
Angelical?
Angelical? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't. But we don't know what we're looking at either. That's the thing. We don't know if this is authentic, if this was really recorded of a while something was going on television, or if it even really happened, because we can't find any dependable evidence. But it doesn't matter. What matters is just realizing they're going to really, really, really be putting up an effort to deceive us, throwing everything at us at once is going to come. So
I'm outside and I can see the galactic war going on. So people have been posting the craziest things in the sky.
like I said, sorry about some of the wording. People in my life, I've said that word plenty of times, to be quite honest with you, but I don't say it anymore because I understand what the tongue is, and I understand when you start cursing, you're practicing black magic. That's why it's called cursing, because you're trying to be a witch and you're trying to cut somebody with your tongue. And metaphors like that, basically, to me, they're what people use when they run out of the actual words in order to express what they're trying to say. And so I just personally, I don't do it. Yeah, although there's people who do it, and I don't necessarily, I don't look down on them for it. I don't judge them because I'm not the judge. What was the name of that song, Roxy, that you
We leave the judging to Jesus.
leave the judging to Jesus? That was a song.
Ray Lynn, she is fantastic. Go listen to her, everybody. We leave the judging to Jesus.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. It's a country
I
song
got
by
to
this
go,
young
dear
girl.
friend, right here in just a second.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
So, anyways, I just wanted to show you guys a few things off of there. I'll take a little bit closer look at Madagascar some more and see if I can find the information there that may be included in my documentary that we're going to do. And so, yeah. So, trees, glaciers, volcanoes, waterfalls, ancient giant trees. If you haven't seen this video from the beginning, we talked about all those things and how they all are coming from the same ultimate source from the trees, even gold, silver, a lot of your main minerals, anything that they find and they say it's in a vein. Really? What kind of a vein? You mean like a root vein? Yeah. Okay, just checking. It's a tree. I appreciate y'all guys being here today. Roxy, thank you very much. We missed Shannon today, unfortunately.
I
Miss
don't
Kim,
know if I'll be here Friday or not.
Friday. I don't know if we
That's
can.
July 4th.
I don't know if we can let you off that day. Because
Well, I can be here, but it's going to be remote from an iPad somewhere.
we might have you chime in from your cell phone wherever you're at and what's going on. We'll have you do a quick report. Remember how we could
10:40.
use Ninja to do remote
Yeah.
reports? And yeah, see, we got to use our tools for what it's supposed to be used for. But I'm just teasing. If you got to do whatever you got to do it. But if
Well, I got the day off. I'm gonna try to figure out how to get a countertop in this house in here before I lose my mind.
okay. Well, again, thanks to everybody. Thank you to Super Dave. Thank you to Mike Smith, our supernatural moderators who hold down the house for us in the chat. I see a lot of cool people in the chat, and I appreciate y'all guys being here. A few new names that I don't recognize as much, but I see Superfly and Miriam and Boomer and Wire and Carla and just tons of y'all guys in there. If you're new, how about subscribe? Because we don't just talk about nonsense. Not very entertaining. I mean, I could dance for you or something other, or something, but
Please spare these people that.
um, I'm pretty good at dancing, man. What are you talking about? Get down, throw a move.
The kind of getting down we done went out long ago.
Oh yeah, I'm old school. I'm still doing the running man or something. I think I could break dance. I literally probably could break dance now. Probably break something.
Break a bone.
Yeah, break a hip. Yeah.
Long way from a fire pole up a tree clubhouse, ain't it?
Huh?
Been a long time since we had a pole in a tree clubhouse.
Yeah. Yeah, that big tree you had in the backyard, and we got I don't know what kind of a pole, like an old electrical pole or something. We leaned it up there and was
I don't know
sliding
what it
down it
was.
like we were firemen coming out of the tree.
We were firemen, all right. That emergency room visit later, we wished we were firemen.
Yeah. That vine we were swinging on, man, that was fun. Except for the vine was poison ivy, and I swole up like a frog. It was bad. I used to be highly allergic to poison ivy, poison oak, that kind of stuff. Not so much anymore. I'll get a little bit, a couple blisters on the hand or something. Not so much anymore. I remember when there was another time when I was a kid, it swole up like that. Anyways, those stories for another time. I think very interesting. But what is interesting is the truth. And I'll be talking about this stuff some more, but know that I'm working on a documentary in the background for the whole digging in the trees. Now, speaking of trees, now there's more to be understood. You see, there's bigger discoveries. Once we understand click, 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 there's going to be a big click. Conk. We're going to see something. I know it's coming. We're already click, 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 click. How many more clicks before it's conk? We'll find out. And you'll find out too if you subscribe to the Supernatural Show, or if, in case you're watching from Logic Before Authority, or wherever you're watching from. Follow, subscribe, whatever it is. And we'll be seeing you again here soon. But real quick, I actually have a new little commercial spot that I want to play for y'all guys. If I may, Roxy, you can go ahead and go if you got to go. But
Have a
I've
good
got.
evening, everybody. Hopefully, I'll see you Friday, or you'll hear me Friday. But have a good night.
All right. Thank you, Roxy. Let me show y'all guys this is something I'm working on to try to survive. Yeah, survive, check this out. So you have a great idea in your mind, but you have no idea what it's going to take to bring it to life on the internet. I've been there, done that, and have already made all the mistakes. Months of trying to learn how to edit video, build a website, set up a podcast, or building a live show on 10 platforms at once. And the learning curve can be long, daunting, expensive, and discouraging. Then there are all of the expenses. Every detail wants money. Every app wants money. Every website wants money. Monthly money. But is there a better way? Maybe even some free ways? Yes, there are. I have spent 15 years of self-teaching myself how to do all of the above. So no matter if you just need someone to point you in the right direction, or if you need someone to jumpstart you forward past years of making mistakes, that will cost you lots of time and money, or maybe just years of paying for services that you could have been getting for free, like I am. Whatever it is, if you have that idea burning in you and you need someone experienced yet much cheaper than organized companies with high overhead, get a hold of me and I will listen to your dreams and then build you a custom plan to put you on the path to achieving that dream, while saving you time and money, while teaching you how to do it along the way. Otherwise, you will just have to pay someone again and again. Put an end to that and start using Logic's Webway services.
I've got one that can see.
Logic before authority.
So yeah, there's a little commercial spot. If you happen to know somebody that needs some help with something to do with anything that you see that I do, you can hire me and you work directly with me and I'll help you. Good thing is, I ain't going to take advantage of you. And I might not be the fastest because I I do this and this takes all my time pretty much, but I got to figure out some ways to try to generate a little extra income. And so why not offer some of the things I already know how to do? I mean, how many of you know how to do what I'm doing or could figure it out? Could you do it in a month? Could you do it in 6 months? Broadcasting live on 10 platforms with a website, blog, with everything that I do. How long would it take? How long would it take for me to reproduce what I'm doing for somebody else? I don't exactly know the answer to that, but depending on what you might want, because somebody just might want a little video made for their YouTube channel, a little intro or something other, or an extra, something simple. It might take me a couple hours to do, I work off of donations, okay? So I won't be receiving any earned income. You won't be paying me. I only work off donations. You understand what that means? Earned income is a term that gets you in trouble with the IRS, but I don't have any earned income, or very, very little. That's how I'm going to keep it. Also, I would only take 1 to 2 customers at any given time until I get those done before I would take 1 to 2 more, because I don't want to get overloaded with that and not be able to keep this as my number one focus. The truth, working for Father. That has to stay number one, because I'm not in this for the money. If I was, I'd already be loaded right now, but I'd also be sold out. Can't do it. Know too much. Can't do it. Lastly, if you want to get a hold of me, you can just, for those services, you can just send me a text. Send me a text to 843-284-3343 and let me know you're interested in some Logic WebWorks services. Logic's WebWorks services. And lastly, before we go, I want to remind you about the Angel Cruise that we're putting together. We've had more people again sign up, so we're moving along very well. We will have a maximum of 50. Don't want this to get out of hand. So here's the little commercial spot, and you can go to TheSupernatural.Show in order to see more information and sign up for the pre-registration. Pre-registration just simply means we're taking names and numbers now, and you'll have the chance to make a decision later as to actually if you're going to go or what's going to happen or nothing. So here we go. So yeah, maybe we'll have a little angel cruise. No, I can't just call them and say, show up. But I highly suspect if we were out there on the water continuously every night, that they would likely show up. All we need a little bit of faith and a little bit of luck, and probably see a whole bunch of more things. Think about all the things that are going on in the heavens right now. What do you think if you were sitting out on a deck as a group, laying back, looking up at the skies, and you're on the top deck where the light's not bothering you, and how good the sky would be? It would be incredible. And the things that would be going on, whew, right now, come on. That'd be heavy duty, I think. It'd be interesting for sure. But yeah, so you can find out more about that at TheSupernatural.Show. TheSupernatural.Show. And it's just pre-reservation right now. There's no money, nothing like that involved at this point. Just saying, that sounds interesting. So, with that being said, I love you. Father in heaven loves you. Thank you, Super Dave. Thank you, Mike Smith. And thank you to you for being here. See you Friday, 2 o'clock, somewhere between there and 3, depending on if we get all of our stuff worked out, which seems to never work out, so we can get it at 2. But we're trying. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, somewhere is a little bit 2 or a little after. I love you, and we'll see you again. And until then, don't be deceived.